Good evening, everybody. Good evening. This is Janice Butler, founder of Woman of Character Incorporated, and we are here live uh, on some on Facebook and on Instagram. And for our YouTube subscribers, we are here on Motivational Monday. It is Motivational Monday, and as you all know, every Monday, Woman of Character, I come on to hopefully motivate you for the week. For the week, and so I want to welcome everybody today. I pray you had an amazing weekend. I did. I did. It was wonderful. And I hope you guys were safe as you celebrated 4th of July and for some Juneteenth again. But again, it is Motivational Monday. I'm so glad you're here. I have something that I want to share with you today. And we are going to be actually talking about recognizing emotional weight. How many of us have emotional weight, right? And sometimes we know it, sometimes it's subconscious, it's unconscious. We're not really aware of what's really happening in our lives. But today I want to motivate you and help you to be able to recognize emotional weights. And I'm going to do that by sharing how I have recognized emotional weights. Many of you know I am the founder of Woman of Character Incorporated, a 501 nonprofit, 501c3 nonprofit that helps educate, empower, and encourage women and individuals that are affected by domestic violence. And so we want to be able to give you some tools that would be help you to cope with life, help you to cope with your situations, help you to cope with your everyday circumstances and situations, whether that be family, hey cousin, whether that be your family, friends, or in your particular relationship. We want you to be able to live a healthy, successful relationship, have a healthy and successful relationship. And so, as we know, we're in this pandemic here in Kansas City. We are, and not just here, but other around the world, they've given more restrictions again because the pandemic numbers, our coronavirus numbers have increased again. But we can get through this. We will get through this. And I'm just going to give you some ways to be able to do that as we recognize emotional weights. And so you might be saying, what are emotional weights? Well, those are those things that um, they're not seen. It's not something that you necessarily see, but it's how you feel. What are you feeling? How you internalize some things. We're talking about burdens. We're talking about stress. Wow. How many of us are stressful or are having the stressful situations that we have to deal with every day? We're talking about painful relationships. We're talking about staying in an unhealthy relationship or whether to stay in an unhealthy relationship. We're talking about avoiding when you try to avoid important decisions in your life, whether that situation might be avoiding a phone call from Navient, for those of us who have student loans, or whether that's or any creditor, avoiding making a decision about something that's really important to you or to your family, there or that making a decision, having to make a decision that you, because you don't know what may happen, you're fearful. It creates fear. What are they going to say? How's this going to turn out, right? So those are some of the emotional weights that we, particularly as women, carry, and men carry them too. They just may handle them differently than we do. But a weight is a weight. It means something that we were not really designed to carry. A weight, something that is heavy, burdensome, cumbersome, that causes us to slow down, not be our best self. A weight, whether again that's stress, fear, doubt, um, don't want to make a decision. So that's what we talk what I'm going to be talking about is recognizing those emotional weights and sometimes where they're coming from, how you feel. And so I want to just share with you three things that I do or when I find myself dealing with emotional weights. And sometimes, again, as I said, they're not easily identified. Um, so we have to be keen. We have to be self-aware, aware of um, how we function, how we move, how what our triggers are. We've talked about those before. What our triggers are, how things make us feel, how people make us feel, how situations make us feel. How do we deal with them? How do we handle them? And so when I've had to deal with having to make an important decision, again, whether it's to answer a phone call or how I want to interact with somebody, if I have to talk to somebody or give them some constructive criticism, or whether I just want to go off, or I need to vent. When I've had to deal with those things, this is how I handle them. And I hope that the way I handle them will help you in making some decisions and being able to recognize the situations that you might be dealing with and giving you another perspective or another option or another way to handle those emotional weights. All right. So the first one is for me, I literally look at the situation or the circumstance and I honestly say what it is. I have to acknowledge what it is. A lot of times we want to avoid looking at those situations or recognizing those situations or either calling a spade a spade. Sometimes the situation is self inflicted. Sometimes it's something that I have no control over. Sometimes it's something that I have to honestly say I want to avoid or don't want to deal with at that particular time, which is okay. Um, but we have to look at our situation or our circumstance or whatever is presented to us. We have to look at it honestly. We have to look at it with an open mind. We have to look at it with not dread, but you know what? I can handle this because you can. You can handle every situation or circumstance that you find yourself in. You can handle anything that comes at you. It's just how do we handle it? How do we handle it? So the first thing is we have to recognize and look at the situation honestly and just make a decision. Hey, was this something that I did? And that's what I do. Is it something that I created? Is this some drama that I created? Or is this me just feeling emotional or feeling some kind of way because I'm either feeling depressed or I'm feeling insecure or I'm feeling uneasy or unsure? So I have to be able to look at it honestly and make the decision whether what I want to do with it. Is it something that I want to deal with right now? Is this something that I can put off? Is this something that needs my attention right now? Am I able to handle whatever this situation is right now? Do I have more eggs in my basket than I can handle? And will this one cause my basket to overflow or my water to overflow? Looking at that weight, um, honestly, that situation honestly, and then um, realizing what do I want to do with it? What do I want to happen? So if when I get, how your loans come up, for payment, and I have to deal with, recertifying or whatever through with my student loan. Sometimes I just don't want to deal with Navient. I don't want to deal with the system that they have. I don't want to have to go through the same thing that I just went through 6 months ago or a year ago, because in my mind it's already in the system. I already know what I'm going to pay, what I can pay, what I'm not going to do. And that's the second thing. See what the situation is, and then make honestly say, am I willing to deal with this? Okay? Am I willing to even deal with it right now? And if you aren't, then put it aside, because the stress of it, the weight of it, um, the will cause so many emotional reactions, whether it be you being uneasy, whether um, that be frustration. And then the second thing that you do is see how that situation or that circumstance, who is it going to affect? Is it going to just affect you? Does it affect your children? Does it affect your family? Does it affect your relationship with your intimate partner, or your relationships, your friendships? Will it affect your work? Will it affect your spouse? Will it affect your health? Can it affect your health? Sometimes when I really don't want to deal with something, I'll get a headache, or um, but I know then that either I'm not really looking at that situation honestly, or I'm dealing with some type of fear, anxiety about the situation. So when you look at one, um, look at your situation or your circumstance honestly, and then two, find out or decide, is this who is this going to affect? What will this decision or the lack thereof affect? Okay, everybody all right? So, and then when you make those when you make that decision, look at how it makes you feel. Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you get depressed about it? Do you get angry about that situation? Um, do you feel sad? Does it make you sad? Um, or does it make you happy? Because every weight is not necessarily a bad weight. Some things that we just have to learn how to handle our emotions about some things. Even in relationships, when we talk about meeting with somebody or meeting someone and we're all excited, are we actually making decisions based off of how we feel versus what the reality of the situation is? So, again, number one, look at that situation or that circumstance honestly and realistically. Let me add that. Two, then see, who does that decision or that situation affect, and how is it going to be? How does it affect, whether it's you, your family, your spouse, your relationship, your children? Because people can see weights on people. My face tells it all. I don't have to say a word. One of my dear friends says all she has to do is look in my eyes and she can tell whether I feel good. She can tell whether I'm upset about something, or whether I'm concerned about something, or she can tell when I really am happy and full of joy about something. And so, weights, again, concerns, situations, they do speak. They speak whether you say anything or not, especially to those who really know you, who really love you, and who know how you move, how you operate, right? So, uh, again, these are just things that I do to recognize the emotional weights in my life. And then here's what I have put into place, and I hope will help you to be able to deal with those emotional weights. All right. Hey, Demo 816, thank you so much for joining. Um, and so the third thing is, after you've done all that, after you've been honest with yourself, after you've honest about the situation or the circumstance that you might be in, and even in an unhealthy relationship, be honest about whether it's something that you want to be in. Is it a relationship that is helping you, or is it a relationship that is draining you, that is causing pain, more pain? And then when you look at that, then the third thing that I do is I seek counsel. And sometimes seeking counsel, it's not about going to a psychologist all the time. It's not always going to sit in somebody's chair, but it may just be seeking counsel, talking to somebody that you trust, talking to someone that you can expose your innermost feelings, your deepest feelings about something without being judged, without being criticized. Because your feelings and the way you see things, that's your reality. That's how you see it. There may be different perspectives or another way of looking at something, but in that very moment, the way you feel is real. It is as real as it gets. Sometimes we have to talk ourselves off of a ledge, or someone else has to talk us off of the ledge so that they can help us to see something different, something bigger, another way, some way that is going to help us to be built up versus to help us to stay in that won't help keep us in that pit or keep us in that fear, keep us in that doubt, keep us in that situation that has us stressed out under that emotional weight. So seeking help can happen in many ways. I have a very, very dear friend um, who I call on a regular basis, or I call my twin brother, because I know that I'm going to get honest feedback. I'm going to get honest um, truth, because they know me. They know how I move. They know how I think. And sometimes, and the thing that I love about it is they don't give up on me. They don't say, "Well, Janice, that's stupid. You 58 years old. You should know better." No, stuff happens. Sometimes we just have to be reminded. And sometimes for me, I have to just talk some things through, because sometimes just so that I can get to the root of what's the real issue. Is it fear? Is it that I don't have the money to do something? Is it that I don't want to deal with a certain person? Is it that I'm just not confident in who I am or what I have to bring to the table? So I get to that root of the issue of the weight. Why am I so emotional over this situation? Or is it just the fact I just don't want to deal with it? And that's okay. That is okay. But when you are able to recognize what the emotional weight is, what to do, why you feel the stress or the pain or the rejection or the hurt, when you can identify what the root cause is, then you can now set up a plan, set up a way to begin to take some action. What is it that I need to do? When we're honest with ourselves, because again, nobody is going to care about a situation like you do. They're not going to feel the same way you feel. They're not going to have the same emotions. Yes, they may understand why you feel the way you do, or why you do what you do, but they'll never know what it is to carry the weight like you do. Because again, there's always outside influence. There's always outside circumstances or situations or issues that play a part in the decision that you end up ultimately making or need to make. We have to consider who is going to be affected by the decision, what is going to be affected by the decision, what it's going to take to make a good decision. And so that circle of influence, that help, that counsel that you seek is going to help you to get rid of, one, to recognize the emotional weight, and then help you to release the emotional weight. Because the goal is not just being able to recognize the emotional weight, this, whether that's the stress, being in an unhealthy relationship, or the pain of a relationship, or um, the fear. It's not just recognizing it, but we recognize it so that we can get rid of it. Hey, Yolanda, so that we can let go of and get out from under that emotional weight that is weighing us down. That's the whole goal. But I'm just here to give you some insight on being able to recognize how to recognize that emotional weight, so that when you're going through your day and the anxiety comes or the fear comes, you can immediately have something in your arsenal, have something in your toolkit, in your toolbox, in your purse, in your makeup kit that says, hey, I know what this is. Now I need to make the steps to let it go. Because again, if we want to breathe and hold on to it, we can, but that is only going to keep you down. Only going to make you continue to sink. It's going to continue to make you feel depressed. And sometimes, to be honest, people like drama. Sometimes, to be honest, people want to just keep and stay in the drama or under the weight. They want to stay the victim, sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously. But when we begin to speak about it, when I begin to help you recognize those emotional weights, because I don't want you to remain a victim, because you're not. You are victorious in every area of your life, regardless of where you are on your journey. You are victorious. You have the ability and a place and the to get to. You've got purpose, and we want to see you get there. And so it's important to deal with the emotions, our emotions. But again, you can't deal with what you don't know. You can't deal with what you don't see. You can't deal with what you don't recognize. And so I want to encourage you and help you recognize those emotional weights so that we can release them, so that we can let you go. Let them go. And so um as I began to um, after I recognized them, it helps me. And after I've been honest with about to myself, and after I've thought about them, looked at it honestly, and then began to um, uh, say that, okay, this is what the situation is, this is how I feel, this is how it's making me feel. Once I've recognized them, I can now take the action, take the steps to begin to move into a better place, into a better mindset, into a healthier state. Because again, when you focus on the problem, it doesn't do any good to your body, to your mind, or to your spirit. But when you recognize those weights, it puts you into a better place so that you can relax your mind, so that you can focus on good health. And when I say health, I'm talking about your mind, your body, and your spirit. You can then begin to set boundaries. You can set goals. What is it that I need to do to be able to get out from under this weight? Because sometimes some weights are not something that just easily go away. So you have to have a plan. Create a plan. Get something that will help you um, to recognize them, to help you create a strategy to get out from under it. If you're in an unhealthy relationship, you don't just walk away. You don't, it's not that easy. Get a plan together so that you can get out safely and stay out. If you're under a financial burden, Get a plan so that you can begin to eventually make a get out from under that financial burden, because we don't want to be debt we want to be debt free. We don't want to be strapped paycheck to paycheck. I know what that's like. Been there, done that. And so I want to encourage you guys as well. Emotionally, our emotions has such an effect on whether we get sick, whether we stay healthy, whether we enter in good relationships, recognize good relationships, stay in unhealthy ones, um, save money or not save money. Our state of mind is so big. We think it's such a small thing. I think sometimes we take so much for granted, that how much our mind controls where we go, what we do, who we get in fellowship with, and to have a healthy state of thinking. The word says that as a man thinketh, so is he. As a man thinketh in his heart, in his mind, in his spirit, as he thinks, so will he be. And you know my saying, say what you see, and you'll see what you say. So I want us to begin to recognize the emotional weights. It helps put us in a better space. It helps to put us, give us better health in our bodies, in our spirits. It lifts us up when we're not burdened down with the circumstances and the situations that we come to face. It helps us to, even as we identify them, it helps us to have a plan, have a strategy, you know? So recognizing the emotional weights does so much for who you are right now and where you're going. Because if you continue to struggle with the weights, if you continue to stay under those emotional weights, you aren't free to do what God has called you to do, or to be who God has called you to be, because He's the one that takes your burdens and makes them light. Yes, we're going to have situations and circumstances that are always going to come up, that are always gonna come at us, because that's the enemy's job, is to throw things off, because he doesn't want you to reach the goal, to reach the purpose, to complete the plan that God has for you. But today I'm saying not so, because we are going to be able to recognize the emotional weights that come at us. When they come at us, we're going to be able to recognize them and honestly admit where we are. We're going to be able to set up a plan and seek counsel and ask for help. There is no shame in my game for asking people for help. What do you think? Here's my situation. Now, with that being said, be careful who you ask. Be careful who you ask. Ask someone that you trust. Find someone that you trust. Because again, death and life is in the power of the tongue, and you don't want somebody speaking into you and giving you some all crazy information that is not going to benefit you but be to your detriment. And the last thing that I do, I know it said there were three, but there's the last thing that I do is I pray. And sometimes I pray in the beginning. You know, prayer throughout those three stages is key, because you want to be able to hear, you want to be able to get a good understanding of what's being told, or how you feel, or being able to recognize and to see. You want the Lord to lead you in your decision, because your decision may not be my decision. But when you know that you've heard from God, and you know that you are moving according to what the instruction that he's giving you, he uses people to help guide you on your journey. But you have to be able to trust them. And if the Lord says no, don't ask. If the Lord says no, don't move until you are clear on the direction and the way that you are supposed to go. Because again, you can get out from under that weight and yet end up with another weight, emotional weight, because we weren't obedient, because you didn't follow the instructions. And I'm not necessarily saying the instructions from man, but when God, he will confirm his instructions through that person or from that person, he will confirm it. He'll either confirm it through his word, or you'll have the peace of God in your spirit and say, you know what? That's what I need to do. But again, it's up to you to make the choice. And so praying is essential throughout your journey, one, and as you go, as you attempt and as you get out from under these emotional weights. So I want you to know, again, today is Motivational Monday, and I pray that I am motivating you to recognize, one, the emotional weights that you might be dealing with, whether that's stress, whether that's an unhealthy relationship, whether that's a financial situation, whether it's pain, hurt, anxiety, whatever the situation is, recognize it, be honest with yourself, and then take the steps to uh, either set some boundaries, find out what it is you really want to do or don't want to do. That's how we set our boundaries. Seeking help, seeking counsel, whether that's talking to a friend, talking to your pastor, talking to someone that you trust and that who knows you enough that they're going to give you good, sound advice. Praying throughout the whole process. And then when you make the decision, you know that you've made a good decision or the decision that's right for you when you have peace. When you have peace. When that stress, when that burden is what they call lifted. You're like, you know what? I know I'm in this storm, but I'm good. I know I'm coming out. When your mindset is shifting to know that everything is going to work out for your good. And so I just want to leave you with this quote. After we've done all that and we've recognized the weights, I want you to know that when you're in the wrong place, the right place is empty. When you are dealing with emotional burdens, when you are under those emotional burdens and stress and anxiety and frustration on a continual basis, because I'm not saying those things won't come, but when you are constantly there and dealing with the weight of the burdens or the emotional weights of stress or the emotional weight of being unhealthy or not being in good health, then you're in the wrong place. And the right place is empty. And that right place is peace. That right place is joy. That right place is your purpose. The place that you are purposed to go. Where you are purposed to go. What you are purposed and have been created to do. So we're getting rid of the emotional weights. We're getting from under the emotional weights today. And hopefully, prayerfully, I've given you tools, things that I have used to help me to, one, recognize them again, to help set some boundaries, make a decision on which way I want to go, what I want to see, how I would love for the situation to turn out, or the response that I'm needing or wanting. Talking to someone, getting counsel, seeking help, getting another perspective, praying throughout the process, and then releasing it and letting it go. Because at the end of the day, God's got you. At the end of the day, you being in the wrong place means the right place is empty, and God wants you to be in the right place so that you can get to the place that He has specifically for you. All right? So, again, I'm Janice Butler, founder of Woman of Character Incorporated. If you want to reach out to us, you can do so at 816-945-0600. Leave a message and we'll get back with you. You can DM me on Facebook at Woman of Character Inc. That's Woman with an A, Woman of Character Inc. If you're on Instagram, you can message me at WMOF and the word character, WMOFCHARACTER. And for my YouTube subscribers, put your comments down below. I'll reach out to you. If you would like to send us mail, because we love reading your cards, and if you want to donate, you can send it to us at P.O. Box 18224, Kansas City, Missouri 64133. Or you can visit our website at womanofcharacter.org, and that is woman with an A, womanofcharacter.org. And we would love to hear you. I've got some new things coming up, lastly, and I will be putting out, we've got some t-shirts that we're going to be selling, so we're going to be putting that out in a little bit on Instagram and Facebook, putting those out for sale. And I just pray that you guys have an amazing week, rest of your week. I love you guys and pray that this is a motivation for you. And I talk to you later. Bye.